Look, as many deputies have said, tourism and food production are the lifeblood of many rural and regional economies. And that's both in terms of jobs and, of course, generating income. I support the call for the task force that many deputies have called for here today to deal with the myriad of issues that will have to be managed as we begin to reopen our tourism industry. And I think, as a prelude to that, Minister, your department needs to have a meeting with the main players, with everybody from the Hotels Federation to the aviation sector to the tour operators and everybody in between, and use that as a template for the task force that you're going to set up, because it's really urgent that tourism businesses can receive some clarity about what's going to happen. Now, as I said, tourism is crucial in rural areas. My own constituency, there's over 30,000 jobs in the northwest, in Sligo, Leitrim, Roscommon and Donegal. And it's important to listen to what that industry is saying. And one of the things they're saying is that while the announcements last weekend were welcome, they don't go far enough. Now, I heard you say that there's a lot of moving parts, and there are. But take the issue, for example, of rates. 3 months. Yet we know no tourism business can open before the end of June. It's not even part of your own roadmap. So these businesses, looking at 3 months scrapping of rates, it's just no good to them. It needs to be a minimum of 6, ideally 12, and a guarantee that when they are back in business, they will be paying some kind of pro rata rates, depending on the trade that they're doing. There's also a big issue around commercial rents, and there has to be burden sharing between tourism businesses, the government and landlords, and that applies to all businesses across the board. This kind of triumvirate need, I think, to set in place some kind of structure where businesses can remain on life support until the opportunity presents itself that they can reopen. Other deputies have asked for a 0% VAT rate, and I add my voice to that, and I'm pleased to hear that you're considering it also, and I do hope it will be part of the programme for government. Now, in response to Deputy Shanahan, you said money has to be repaid, and you also said that tourism, for many places, is the only show in town. Now, that's true. The money has to be repaid. But I honestly believe that a portion of the COVID debt has to be ring-fenced at European level, whether it's corona bonds or whatever, and put to one side, because it is the only way that the European economy can kickstart itself. And if we don't pump prime tourism projects, then there will be no show in many different towns. Now, I mentioned earlier that tourism needs certainty. Yes, it's uncertain times, but hoteliers are saying to me, can we book weddings for August, for September? What do we do about numbers? Does it depend on the floor space we have? Do we need 2 metres between each of the tables? Can there be entertainment afterwards? How do we manage check-in? Those are all the practical details that, while we are in uncertain times, I think we can give more certainty to these businesses about. So I would ask you to consider that, Minister, as well. Also, when these businesses reopen, they will need grant aid, because they already have a mounting wall of debt and they just can't afford money to look at their businesses and see what needs to be done around social distancing. Finally, I know of businesses who regretfully have decided to close their doors, and certain companies, in this case telephone companies and energy companies, are insisting on extortionate penalty clauses, over €400 per company, to terminate contracts. I won't name the companies today, but I just want to ask you, Minister, is there any way that your department or the government can use your influence to stop these companies basically terrorising businesses who are no longer able to trade? Thank you.